But we're going to talk about something very interesting, a disease which tends to affect the memory. And of course, many women have been beaten, jailed, burnt because people think they are witches, but just because they have lost some part of their memory and cannot recollect. But to delve deeper into this issue with me is Dr. Dennis Botha. He's the president of the Alzheimer's Ghana and also the medical director of HealthNet Medical Center. Good morning.
Good morning.
So many women, many women have been burnt, beaten, brutalized, all in the name of, being witches. But maybe that's not the case. What is the medical condition for which some women or people in general who are growing present with memory loss? Let's talk about Alzheimer's.
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. I think one thing that has bedeviled Africa, or some parts of the world, is this issue about witchcraft, this belief in witchcraft. And it comes as no surprise that the people we call witches, usually women, are people who are usually aged. 60 years, 65, 70, 75, 80 years. True. These are the people we usually target, and people beat them, people burn them, because they have alluded to the fact that you ask them a question, did you eat my children? He said yes. Now, these are people who sometimes have lost their way. They leave homes and they don't find their way back home. They end up in somebody's home, especially at dawn, because maybe they wake up in the night, going to, attend to nature's call. Just after that, they cannot find their way back home. And then they just walk out. Ends up in somebody's house, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., somebody sees them, and you are a witch who have landed from the sky because you were late to get into your home. And therefore, everybody will be called, and then people will just charge on these people, beat them, burn them, kill them. Is it not surprising to us that all these people are usually aged? Yeah. Is it not surprising that somebody like this, who was, when this same woman was 40 years, she was okay, having her children, having her grandchildren, taking care of them. She was 50, she was fine. And all of a sudden, 60, 65, and then she becomes a witch. So we should understand that there must be a medical problem. There must be a certain underlying factor why these people become this way when they grow. And again, if you're also 40 or you're 35, 40, 45, know that, and you're a woman and you're a man, know that it can also happen to you. Certainly. So what we do to these people, stigmatize them, beat them, burn them, and then later we put them in witches' camps and etc. Or we take them to faith-based organizations or churches and they are chained. It can happen to you. Would you also want to be treated that way? But if we have the understanding that when people grow or for other medical reasons, people can get into a situation where they have what we call dementia. And dementia is actually a medical condition that affects the brain. It's a degenerative disease of the brain where as we grow, some people have the unfortunate situation where the brain, the actual proteins in the brain that makes your cognition, your remembrance, your memory function very well, or your ability to learn new things function very well. These things degenerate as these people grow. And other proteins, I mean, I don't want to use big names. Fibrillary tangles, tau proteins rather replace the original thing that was there. And the people just lose memory. They cannot plan their day. They cannot remember new things that they have learned or things that just happened around them. They cannot remember. So you have your grandmother or your mother, and you have given her food. Somebody comes to visit, and she will say, "I'm so hungry. They haven't given me food. They are wicked." And you are likely to get angry with your mother, or your mother or your grandmother or your grandfather who is at home will be seeing things that are not there, or sometimes we would tell you that I put my money here, you have stolen the money, and meanwhile the person has just put it somewhere they cannot remember, and you be accusing people falsely for what they haven't done. Again, they may get to that, as I said again, your grandmother can be at home with you and tell you that, take me home. I want to go home. And you tell the person, this is my home. No matter what you say, you tell you that this is not home. I said, take me home. Sometimes they get to the point of being a little aggressive because, and these are the people that you don't have to argue with. But if you understand that there's something called dementia, of which Alzheimer's disease is the commonest, then we know that they have gotten to that stage. What they need at that point is not stigmatization, it's not to insult them, it's not to beat them, it's not to kill them, it's not to throw them into chains. but rather to have a system of care and support for them.
Well, okay, Dr. Bote, we hear you loud and clear, but for Alzheimer's in particular, what would you say is the cause, and how would you identify when someone has it, apart from the memory loss?
Yeah, Alzheimer's disease, I must say that was actually diagnosed after death. Okay. You know, so this Alzheimer's and dementia we are talking about, it's actually a progressive degeneration. It doesn't get better. We can only slow down the rate of degeneration of the brain. Right. But usually, when Alzheimer, the pathology who found this, when he noticed this history that comes to him, and these people, when they die, he realized that there's a brain atrophy or a shrinking of the brain substance, not comparable to the normal brain shrinking that everybody goes through. So we say that Alzheimer's disease is not a normal part of aging, because you can have other people aging and they don't go through this memory loss, difficulty in thinking, difficulty in planning, confusion, and all these things that affect them. But a few people do get that. And sometimes the underlying cause may be something that is Alzheimer's, we say that the cause is unknown. Right. But there are other medical causes that can lead to somebody getting Alzheimer's or dementia. Right. This includes hypertension, diabetes, which you know that is very rife in the population. So if you are stigmatizing, beating people who get old and get these problems, people get strokes. And stroke means that you don't have enough blood supply to your brain. Therefore, your brain naturally degenerates. You can get there and memory becomes a problem. People have diabetes, they have other deficiencies. People drink alcohol a lot, and therefore they get what we call Korsakoff syndrome. Vitamin B deficiencies are so low, which you know that our nerves and neurons actually feed a lot on vitamin B, and so these people get to an old age and then they begin to behave funny. Heavy metals, you know that heavy metals like mercury, aluminium, and these things that we never intentionally took into us, but then comes through our food, comes through our water that we drink. So we talk about people using mercury for mining. In the mining areas, galamsey and all these things. Then this mercury, heavy metals goes back into the water. Some way, somehow, it trickles into the water we take at home. And then we take them. The effects are not immediate, but over time, over years, we get to the point that it's accumulated. And then people begin to have this degeneration of the brain. People have, if anybody remembers our old boxer, Muhammad Ali. Yes, you know, he had Parkinson's disease. But if that may have been either genetic or maybe through several head trauma. But then it gets to the place where this Parkinson's also has association with Alzheimer's or dementia. He can't remember anything, his movement is funny. So there are so many possible things that can lead to a person that having Alzheimer's. Nobody knows their tomorrow. I wouldn't know how I'll be like 30 years from now. But then if we all come to the understanding that we should depart from this thing about witchcraft in Africa and know that the fact that the thing comes with, most of them are aged, means that no, let's look at this witchcraft thing again. For me, we are so religious, we say it exists, but for a lot of scientific things that would have studied, they will tell you that it doesn't really exist. Sometimes it's things that people just allude to. Somebody comes and says, oh, now you're in Kwalano, say, I've been chewing the babies. Anything you say, because
she doesn't remember, she doesn't understand what you're even asking.
And the person wants to fit into the conversation. Sometimes even conversing with such a person, they might repeat the same thing. You say
over
something
and over again.
They repeat the same thing again. They can't just piece things together. And that is what we are talking about.
Dr. Bote, finally, because of time, let me ask you this. So does it mean that if my grandmother has it, I'm going to have it?
Well, yes, there is a relationship. There is some genetic relationship, so that if you have something in the family, then also when your friend's beard is burning, you fetch water. So it is basically with aging. But then if you have your grandmother has it, or grandfather had it, then chances are you may also have it. Sometimes you see the grandmothers or grandfathers sitting down and they are clapping their hands in the air. Meanwhile, there's nothing. You ask them, what are you catching? You say, I don't even know what I'm catching in the air. So these things are things that has to do with the progressive degeneration of the brain. Sometimes it may even lead to the final departure from earth, but nobody wants to die in such a way, being stigmatized and beaten. So we are saying that as much as a rich person can plan their funeral, that when I die, do this for me. Let us also plan our future and make sure that we destigmatize dementia and Alzheimer's, so that when we also grow old, we'll be taken care of very well.
Certainly. On that note, I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Dennis Bote. He's the president for Alzheimer's Ghana and the medical director at HealthNet Medical Center. I'm sure you enjoyed that conversation. We'll bring you more of this next week. We'll talk more about Alzheimer's right here on TV3 New Day. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Stay with us.